Hi Christian women. Today we're going to talk about whether being like a Jezebel breaks the 10 commandments. So let's take a look. The first commandment is in Exodus 20 verse 3, and it's, you shall have no other gods but me. Now Jezebel managed to influence Ahab to formally excuse worship that was exclusive to Jehovah. And we all know that Jehovah wants exclusive devotion. So that's that first commandment broken. Let's look a little bit more. In First Kings, Ahab performs all this worship to this false god that Jezebel wants to, but she funds it and she enforces it. He's the king. Wrapped round his little finger. Sorry, he's wrapped round her little finger. And who's the false god that they now worship? Baal. It's all through the Bible. Worship to Baal. Now, there was a lot of people back then calling on the name of Baal. Who does everyone now call on the name of? Jesus. Jesus is the modern day pagan god. False god. Jesus is Baal. In the book of Jubilees 1 verse 11, it talks about how they sculptured these idols and sacrificed their children to them. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, it says they set up gods for themselves. So Jehovah was not their number one. So they broke the first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And it was all done through Jezebel. That Jubilee scripture actually ties in well with the second commandment as well, which is in Exodus 20 verse 4. And it's, you shall not make for yourselves any carved image. What did Jezebel get her husband to do? Yep. Images, Asherah poles, false idols, which all required physical sacrifices, blood sacrifices, child sacrifice. In 1 Kings 18:19, again, it says Jezebel sponsored it, paid for it, basically, made the prophets enforce it, and Israel had no choice but to participate or die. In the Septuagint, it calls these prophets that were forced to do this prophets of shame, because they weren't prophets of the true God, Yah, were they? They were prophets of shame. They were persuaded by Ahab, who was persuaded by Jezebel. Commandment 3. You shall not take the name of Jehovah your God in vain. Now Jezebel proclaimed openly that she had prophetic authority over Yah. She was actively opposing these 10 commandments. She knew it, and she was proclaiming she had the authority to do this. This is all in Kings. We can also see this in the book of Revelation, in chapter 2 verse 20. Let me just find that. Notwithstanding, I have few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel. He's talking to Ahab, which call herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed to idols. So we can see there what she was doing. She was telling the people to sacrifice to idols, make idols, sacrifice to idols, sacrifice unclean things, and eat unclean things. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, the number is 1 QS 8 verse 11. It says, they shall not utter the name with unclean lips, Well, they did have unclean lips, didn't they? Because they were worshipping unclean gods, eating unclean animals, worshipping idols, making idols. The next commandment, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That's Exodus 20 verse 8. Jezebel's Baal system replaces Jehovah's 10 commandments. It also replaces his times, his seasons, with all these fertility calendars, moon calendars. Hosea 2:11 says this, I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. So you can see there, she had decided on her own solemn feasts, her own Sabbaths, but he won't put up with it. He'll cause them to cease. But they're still going on now. So Jezebel broke that commandment too. So again, she ruined Yah's times, profaned the Sabbath day, breaking that commandment. Jubilees 2:21 says the same thing. In the Dead Sea Scrolls it says they walked according to the festivals of the nations. That's 4Q394, if anyone wants to look that up. Even the Catholics in their catechism said the Sabbath is a sign of the covenant. So they even knew that. Sabbath day is a sign of Jehovah's covenant with us. So we shouldn't mess with his calendars and ruin his Sabbath that was a gift to us. The next commandment, honour your father and your mother, which is Exodus 20:12. Now, I didn't know this about this one. I just thought that meant, do as your mum and dad say. But then coming to the truth, through straight is the gate, and questioning things like, well, what if your mum and dad believe in all these evil things? Or your mum or your dad, one of the two. Any member of your family really, but your mother and father, this is what this commandment's about. So how can you honour someone that doesn't believe in Jehovah, that does Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, Halloween, that worships all these other gods? And then I dug deeper, and honour your father and mother can only be done if your parents have taught you the 10 commandments. So there's a double meaning there. If you know the 10 commandments, then yes, honour your father and mother. But it's also our job as parents, if you've got children, to teach them. That's what that commandment means as well. It means teach your children the 10 commandments so they can honour you. And Jezebel managed to convince Ahab again to forget their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Honour your mother and father, the forefathers. She managed to persuade him to forget them for all this false worship instead. You can read about that in 1 Kings 21:25. Jezebel basically replaced the covenant with Sidonian religion, which she had basically set up through Ahab. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, CD 3 verse 4, they despised the covenant of the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. They despised the covenant, the 10 commandments. So they couldn't honour their mother and father, and their mother and father couldn't honour them, and their children couldn't honour them. None of the children of Israel learn the commandments of Jehovah anymore, because the whole place was false worship. Everywhere was false worship. They were They were worshipping all these false gods, making all these sacrifices, not worshipping Jehovah. So they couldn't honour their mother and father, And they couldn't teach the children the Ten Commandments. Well, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. They could, but they wouldn't. The book of Sirach, I think that's how you say it, 3:16, is about teaching the children the law. It actually says teaching the children the law is honouring the fathers. There you go, plain and simple. Even in the Catholic Catechism again, the divine fatherhood is the source of human fatherhood. Honouring parents includes teaching and guiding your children in the commandments of God, Jehovah God. So yes, Jezebel breaks every single one of the Ten Commandments and tells others to do so, commands it through her husband Ahab. So we do not want to be a Jezebel, do we? We want to obey the commandments, eat clean, and fulfill the royal law, which is tell others. Tell others what you know. Tell others this so that they don't make the same mistake that hundreds of millions of thousands of people do. Come to the truth.